Hello everyone. So today we are going to start mathematical physics focusing on basically CUET exam. So in mathematical physics, the very first thing which we are going to learn is vector algebra. In vector algebra, let us start with a basic definition of vector. So what is vector? So vector is a physical quantity having both magnitude as well as direction in a space. And for example, many physical quantities like velocity, acceleration, momentum, force, electric field, torque, all these things are actually denoted by vectors. So vector is a very important regarding physics to understand the fundamental of physics. Okay, so how we can say that anything can be a vector? Anything can be a vector when it follows the vector law addition. We are not going into much detail what is vector law addition, but for the sake of convenience, let's see here. Suppose this is a vector and this is b vector. So if we join initial and final point, so our that will be our c vector. So vector law of addition says that c vector, our final resultant vector, will be a vector plus b vector. Okay, now there is very important one thing that current is not a vector quantity because it does not follow law of vector addition. Actually, current does is not a vector quantity. Sometimes people says that current is a scalar quantity, current is vector quantity, but no, current is a tensor quantity. We will see later on what are tensors. So there are basically different types of vectors available. Equal vectors, two vectors having same magnitude and same direction. For example, these two vectors are called equal vectors because they have same magnitude. Magnitude means length of the vector. They have same magnitude and same direction, so they are called equal vector. Null vector is basically an have zero magnitude and arbitrary direction. For example, a simple point is called null vector. Unit vector are those vectors which have magnitude of 1. For example, I cap, j cap, k cap, these are called unit vector. And reciprocal vectors are the vectors having same direction as the original vector, but the magnitude is reciprocal. And negative vectors are the vectors which have same magnitude but opposite direction. For example, this is a vector and this is b vector. So both the vectors have same length. Approximately both the vectors a vector and b vector have same length. So these are called negative vectors. They have only opposite direction. Now let us talk about what is orthogonal resolution of a vector. For example, in a three-dimensional space, suppose this is an a vector having coordinate ax, ay, az. So if we resolve in the three-dimensional vector, a three-dimensional space, so in x-axis it will be ax I cap, in y-axis it will be ay j cap, and in z-axis it will be az k cap, and it will be written as a vector is equals to ax I cap plus ay j cap plus az k cap. And these ax, ay, az are called the rectangular components, and I cap, j cap, and k cap are called unit vectors, or these are also called basis vector for Cartesian coordinate. Okay, I had talked about the magnitude of vector. How do we calculate magnitude of a vector? So magnitude of vector is calculated with a very simple formula. Mod of a is equals to root under ax square plus ay square plus az square. And what is unit vector along a vector? Unit vector is a vector which is having a magnitude of 1. So to calculate unit vector, what we do, we divide a vector with its magnitude. This will be unit vector. Okay, now let us talk about dot product. How do we take dot product, and what is the meaning of taking dot product? See, dot product, the final result of dot product is scalar quantity, so it is also called scalar product. And what does it depicts? It depicts the closeness between the two vector, how much close our two vector. So this will be depicted by dot vector, and the formula for dot vector is a dot b, magnitude of a, magnitude of b, cosine of angle between a and b. Okay, and if we talk in Cartesian coordinate, how we take dot product. So for example, suppose we have a vector az I cap, ay j cap, az k cap, and another vector bx I cap, by j cap, bz k cap. So a dot b will be simply the multiplication of this, the component of both vectors ax bx, y component ay by, and az bz. And one more thing, there is sometimes they ask about projection. So what is projection? So projection of a vector on b vector can be calculated as a vector dot b cap. Now how we calculate b cap? So b cap can be calculated with b vector upon magnitude of b vector. So this is how we calculate the projection. And what is I cap, j cap, k cap dot product? So I cap dot I cap is equals to 1. J cap dot j cap is equals to 1, and k cap dot k cap is equals to 1. And I cap dot j cap is equals to 0. This is called principle of orthogonality, that the our coordinate system are orthogonal to each other. That's why dot product is 0. Because what is meaning of taking dot product? I cap dot j cap is nothing but magnitude of I cap, that is 1, magnitude of j cap, that is 1, and cosine of angle between I cap and j cap. So this is I cap and this is j cap. So angle between I cap and j cap is 90 degree. So this will be cosine of 90 degree. Cosine of 90 is 0. That's why if we take dot product with same basis vector, so we get 1. This is called principle of normality. And if we take dot product with another basis vector, we will get 0. This is called principle of orthogonality. This is all about dot products. Now let us talk about cross product. Cross product is a very non-obvious thing because it is very difficult to imagine cross product. Cross product, actually, the final output of cross product, unlike the dot product, will be a vector. And it will have a direction. So first we should know how to calculate direction, and then we will know how to calculate its magnitude. So for example, suppose this is a vector, and this is b vector, a vector and b vector. So a cross b will be, keep your palm in the direction of a vector, curl in the direction of b vector, so it will be outside of your mobile phone. So a cross b will be outside of your mobile phone, n cap. It will be denoted by n cap, or a cross b vector cap, a cap cross b cap, or a vector cross b cap. These things you can see, but normally it is denoted with n cap. So this is about the direction of cross product. Now let us talk about the uh, magnitude. How do we calculate magnitude of cross product? So there are two ways. A cross b will be can be calculated using magnitude of a, magnitude of b, and sine of angle between a and b, and n cap. N cap, I have just told you that how do we calculate n cap? A cross b. And if we talk about, if we have Cartesian coordinates like ax I cap, ay j cap, az k cap, bx I cap, by bz k cap, so a cross b will be calculated using a matrix, and this matrix will be I cap, and this matrix will be I cap, j cap, k cap in the first row, and your components of all the A vectors in the second row, components of all the B vector in the third row. See, I cap, J cap, K cap in the first row, AX, AY, AZ in the second row, BX, BY, BZ in the third row. And remember, if the component is having the negative sign, so write that negative sign as well, and then solve the matrix, you will get the answer. Now let us talk about some previous year questions which came in the CUET. A cross B is denoted by C vector, A vector is given, B vector is given, C vector is given. So it is asking what is the value of X and Y. So let us calculate first A vector cross B vector, and then we will compare with C vector. So A vector cross B vector will be nothing but I cap, J cap, K cap in the first row, component of A vector in the second row, and component of B vector in the third row. So this will be I cap, this row and this column will be neglected. 2y minus 3x plus j cap. I think we should write minus j cap instead of plus j cap. This will be 2x minus 3y and plus k cap x square minus y square. So calculation of matrices should be clear in your mind because you are at graduation level. So if we will compare with our C vector, so 2x minus 3y is equal to minus 5, and 2x minus 3y, one second, it will be 2y minus 3x is equals to minus 5, and 2x minus 3y will be I think I cap and k cap only. We have to compare only I cap and k cap. So k cap is nothing but x square minus y square is equals to 5. So instead of the this very lengthy calculation, what we will do, we are going to verify options. That is the more feasible way. So x is equals to 2, y is equals to 3. So 6 minus 6, that is 0. Not possible. 3 and 2, so 4 minus and 9, that is minus 5. Okay, it may be possible. Let us check with the second option. So 9 minus 4 is equals to 5. Yeah, this is the correct option. You can check other option too, it will not come in the result. So this is all about vector algebra. You should not go in the very much details. It is not going to ask about all the fundamentals, only dot product, cross product. If it is clear, then okay, it's fine. Now let us move for the vector calculus. In vector calculus, what we are going to study, basically we are going to study gradient, divergence, curl. These three things are our main focus. So let us talk about gradient. What is gradient? Gradient is nothing but it is just a upgraded version of differentiation. Why I'm saying this? Suppose, but it is a differentiation such that it makes any surface vector quantity. For example, in differentiation, we take a tangent of a curve. Na? In vector, differentiation, we take tangent of a curve. Here, gradient means we are taking tangent of a surface. Okay, and the direction in which the tangent of the surface will be maximum, that will be our gradient. This is the basic definition of gradient, ki the direction in which the gradient is in which our slope or tangent is maximum, that is gradient. And gradient will be calculated with using a symbol that is called nebula. Nebula is nothing but I cap del upon del x plus j cap del upon del y plus k cap del upon del z. So for example, we have a function f of fx y z is equals to x square y z square. So if we'll take its gradient del of x square y z, so what we will do, we will distribute our this function x square y z with all these nebula. See the steps. I cap del upon del x plus j cap del upon del y plus k cap del upon del z x square y z. So I cap del upon del x, we will divide with our function, multiply with our function x square y z plus j cap del upon del y x square y z plus k cap del upon del z x square y z. Now this is not a normal differentiation, this is partial differentiation. If we are differentiating with x, we will keep other things y and z to be constant, so outside the differentiation, and the differentiation of x square will be 2x, so this will be 2xyz I cap plus now again x square z will be kept constant and y differentiation is 1 times j cap and x square yz, x square y will be kept constant to differentiate z, and differentiation of z is 1 k cap. So this is all about our gradient of our function 2xyz I cap plus x square z j cap and plus x square k cap. This will be how we calculate gradient. Sometimes they ask that calculate unit vector in the direction of tangent to the surface. So this gradient is nothing but maximum tangent, tangent maximum. Okay, so sometimes they ask calculate the unit vector in which direct tangent is changing maximum, tangent is maximum. So in that case what we will do, that will be unit vector in the direction of tangent maximum will be nothing but del of f upon magnitude of del of f. So this will be the unit vector. Sometimes they ask about the unit vector, they may ask, these are basic things. So this is all about the gradient. Now let us talk about divergence. Divergence is nothing but it is taking dot product if with a vector function of our nebula. Nebula we know what is it, and the function we know it as well. For example, suppose we have the function a vector is equals to ax I cap plus ay j cap plus az k cap. So del dot f means I cap del upon del x plus j cap del upon del y plus k cap del upon del z, taking dot product is unlike the gradient where we were multiplying with our function to all those nebula component. Here we are taking dot product. So this is something different, because in taking the dot product we multiply j component with j component, I component with I component, k component with k component. So this will be del upon del x differentiation ax, because I dot I will only going to survive, j dot I will get 0, k dot I will get 0. Del or del y az plus del of del z az ay az. So this is all about how we take divergence. Divergence, if we talk the physical significance of divergence, divergence means how much the vector is going outward our surface. Okay, and if it is going inward our surface, divergence is negative. It is if it is going outside the surface, divergence is positive. So this is all about divergence. Remember one thing, divergence, the result of divergence will be a scalar quantity, and the result of gradient, what we had studied just now, will be a vector quantity. Let us take one question. It is asking to calculate the divergence of r vector, where r vector is defined. So let us take the divergence of r vector del dot r. It is a very obvious question, and for sure it is going to come. So del dot r is nothing but I cap del upon del x plus j cap del upon del y plus k cap del upon del z x I cap plus y j cap plus z k cap. So del upon del x I cap dot I cap will get x plus del upon del y of y plus del upon del z of z. So 1 plus 1 plus 1 will be 3. So del dot divergence of r is basically called the position vector, that is 3. It is asking the line integral per unit area along the boundary of a small area at a point in a vector field A. So what is it? So line integral, taking a line integral, we will talk about line integral. So taking a line integral is a scalar quantity dividing with area. So actually this is the actual definition of gradient, because the thing which is going to be constant here is going to be a scalar is only gradient. So we will say the option is gradient of it because sorry, I think it should not be gradient, it should be divergence of a, yeah, because divergence is only going to be constant here and rest of the thing is not constant, because gradient is a vector quantity, we know curl is a vector quantity, and line integral cannot be the answer, so divergence of a is the answer. Now let us talk about curl. Curl, how do we take curl? Just like we did our cross product, no, in the same way, but here what we will do, curl I cap j cap k cap in the first row, del upon del x del upon del y del upon z, where f vector is nothing but fx I cap plus fy j cap plus fz k cap. So if we'll take curl of this our vector field, so I cap j cap k cap in the first row, and this partial derivative symbols in the second row, and our vector in the third row. Okay, and what does curl depicts? Curl simply depicts how much our vector is rotating. If curl is 0, that means our vector is not rotating and it is solenoid. Sometimes they ask to prove that this vector field is a solenoid. So what we say, if curl is 0, it is solenoid, it is not rotating. So this is all about vector, divergence, curl, and divergence, curl, and gradient. Now let us talk about integrals. So in integrals, we will first talk about simple integrals, double integrals, multiple integrals, and some theorems involved with it. So first we will talk about line integral. So line integral is nothing but integral means calculating the work done along the path f vector. Okay, it is simply calculation of work done, and if line integral along a path is 0, na, so along a closed path is 0, na, this is the symbol for closed path, so that means our field is conservative. These concepts which we are going to use in uh, our simple mechanics as well. So how do we calculate line integral of a vector? So for example, suppose this is a vector xt which is a function of time, xt I cap yt j cap zt k cap. So f dot dr vector will be nothing but f dot, what will be dr vector here? If r vector is a position of time, so dr vector will be nothing but, we will apply chain rule, r of t times r prime. So we can say dr is nothing but differentiation. dr upon dt. Dr is nothing but dr upon dt will be r prime of t. So dr will be r prime of t times dt. So here I have written r prime of t times dt instead of dr. And if our function field is a function of our r vector. So basically, suppose our field is x, function of x, y, and z. So in that case, our this r prime and dt, this r prime and dt is nothing but simply tangent. R prime is nothing but tangent. Okay, r prime is nothing but tangent. So f dot r will be f dot t vector times ds vector. And what is t vector? T vector is nothing but r prime of t upon magnitude of r, unit vector along the tangent. T vector is nothing but unit vector along the tangent. How does it comes? See the derivation. F dot r along a curve is will be f dot t times ds. We are checking that it is correct or not. T vector is nothing but unit vector along the tangent, along tangent. So this will be r prime upon r prime magnitude r prime, and we have calculated what is ds. Ds is r prime magnitude times ds r prime magnitude. R prime magnitude will get cancelled out, and this is our earlier definition of line integral. So we are sure that our answer is correct. Now let us calculate this line integral of this vector, where r vector is depicted with this symbol. So we have the definition. Our line integral will be nothing but curl of f vector dot dr vector, and in place of dr vector we can write r prime times dt, and this will be x square yz I cap plus 5z j cap minus 4xy k cap. This is our f vector, and our r vector is given as t of I cap plus t square of j cap plus t cube of k cap. If we will take dot product of everything, we will get 8x square yz I cap dot I cap is 1 times t plus 5z of t square minus 4xy of t cube and times dt. And now we are supposed to be stuck here because this is a function of x, y, and z, but we know that xyz is a function of t. That is not given here, that xyz is a function of t, but we can compare from this symbol, because r vector is nothing but x I cap plus y j cap plus z k cap will be equals to t of I cap plus t square of j cap plus t cube of k cap. So here x will be t, y will be t square. So if we replace in this integral, it will become 8 of x square will be nothing but t square, y will be t square, and z will be t cube times t plus 5, and z is nothing but z is t cube. So we will write here t cube times t square minus 4, and x times t times y is t square times t cube, and this whole to the power, whole integration, integrand will be dt. Now what we have to do, it is given already that t is varying from 0 to 2, 0 to 1. So we will write the integration limit to be 0 to 1, and then the only thing which we have to do is rearrange these terms and integrate with the limit 0 to 1. That things you can be able, you should be able to do it. Okay, now let us talk about, before going to double integral and triple integral, we should be familiar with orthogonal curvilinear coordinates. See, orthogonal curvilinear coordinates, some people thinks that this is very complicated and everything, but I have some simple tricks to remember all these steps, its curl and divergence, everything. I have tricks. I will tell you the tricks and you should be able to remember it. So let us talk about a spherical coordinate, polar coordinate, and cylindrical coordinate, and everything. First, I've already talked about the basis vector. So basis vector is nothing but, for example, suppose this is a Cartesian coordinate. So in x direction I cap, y direction j cap, and z direction k cap. So I cap, j cap, k cap will be the basis vector. So in the same way, in a spherical coordinate, we will have r cap, theta cap, and phi cap instead of I cap, j cap, k cap. In cylindrical coordinate, we have r cap, theta cap, z cap, and in circular coordinate it is a two dimensional, so it will be r and theta only. So now let us talk about the basis, what the basis we have to take. There are some things called h1, h2, and h3. I will talk about it, how we are going to use it. But for now, remember, for a spherical, it will be 1 r sine theta. H1 will be 1, H2 will be r, H3 will be r sine theta. For cylindrical, it will be 1 r z, and for circular, it will be 1 r 1, H1, H2, H3. In circular, we don't need H3 because it is two dimensional, so we can neglect H3. It is only 1 r. So this is I have I'm telling you to remember only these three things. What is H1 for H1 H2 H3 for a spherical? H1 H2 H3 for a spherical is nothing but 1 r sine theta. H1 H2 H3 for a cylindrical is 1 r z, and for circular 1 r 1. Now let us take a question so that this concept will be more clear to you, that we should able to draw. Okay, so suppose uh, we have Cartesian coordinate x y z and polar coordinate, spherical polar coordinate r theta and phi. So how do we relate it? So basically, suppose this is polar coordinate, so if it is a point P having coordinate x, y, and z, r theta and phi, so r is nothing but radius, theta is nothing but angle between this line makes the angle between the, suppose this is x axis, this is y axis, and this is z axis. So the projection of our point P will make the angle with x axis will be theta, and the our line will make the angle with the z axis will be z. Okay, so if we will, if we will resolve into components, so this projection will be nothing but, if it is, if this point is x, y, in z in Cartesian, so r theta phi in polar, and in Cartesian, this distance, this much distance will be x. So this line will be, if this is phi, so this is sine phi, r, this is radius r, so this is r sine phi. So x will be cos theta of this projection, so x will be r sine phi cos theta, y will be r sine phi sine theta, and z will be r of cos phi. So which option should be correct? R sine phi x is equals to r sine phi Sine theta cos phi x is equals to r sine theta cos phi x is equals to r sine theta cos phi. I think it has done some mistake in the there is some mistake in the question. R sine theta cos phi, r sine theta cos phi, uh, 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 x is equals to r sine theta. No, okay. Actually, sometimes without saying it takes this angle to be theta and this angle to be phi. I don't know, but sometimes it does like this. So if this is the case, so our theta should be replaced to the phi and vice versa. So option B is the correct one. You can do some mathematical manipulation. Actually, sometimes what it does, it replaces theta and phi with each other. But either we are calling theta and phi, it doesn't matter. We should able to know that from which axis we are taking the angle. From z axis, here we are taking according to this quotient theta, and from x axis we are taking phi. So everything, this projection will be, instead of r sine it will be r sine theta, and this will be x is equals to r cos phi. So our option B will be correct. Okay, I had told you that if you will remember these three things, H1, H2, H3 for a spherical, cylindrical, and circular, I will tell you everything. Infinitesimal element. Many people struggles to remember these things. What is the infinitesimal elements for a spherical, for cylindrical? But why we need to remember it separately? Because we are human and we have brains. So we can apply it. DL will be H1 DU1 U1 cap, H2 DU2 U2 cap, H3 DU3 U3 cap. What is U1 U2 U3? For uh, Cartesian, U1 U2 U3 will be I cap, J cap, K cap. For polar, it will be for polar, spherical polar, it will be R cap, theta cap, and phi cap. For cylindrical, it will be R cap, theta cap, and Z cap. This is all about U1 U2 U3. I will try to write in polar everything or in spherical everything as well. So DL will be H1 DU1 U1 cap, H2 DU2 U2 cap, H3 DU2 U3 cap. So what does it means? It means in a spherical, DL vector will be, in a spherical we know H1, H2, H3. 1 R R sine theta. So it will be 1 dr r cap plus r d theta theta cap plus r sine theta phi cap, d phi phi cap. So this, see how simple it is. I have just plugged the values and get the answer. A vector in we will have three different areas. It is difficult to imagine three different areas, but we will have three different areas. I have written only U1 cap. Similarly, you can write U2 cap, U3 cap, U1, DA1. I have written only DA1. You can write DA2, DA3. So what will be area vector for polar coordinate? H2, H3, R, R sine theta, dr, and U3 is d phi, and U1 is r cap. So in the direction of r cap, area will be r square sine theta dr d phi. Many people struggles to remember it, but you should not. And for the volume, suppose in a spherical, volume will be H1 H2 H3, we will multiply everything 1 times r sine theta dr d theta d phi. So it will be r square sin theta dr d theta d phi. Okay, so they will directly going to ask you what is volume vector, area vector, and length vector. It will not ask to derive, so you should remember only h1 h2 h3 and this general formula 1 2 3. So this is all about infinitesimal element. Okay, so gradient, divergence, curl, everything we can know in terms of curvilinear. 1 upon h1 del phi upon phi is in a scalar field, for example x square y square anything. So 1 upon h1, 1 upon h2 del of u2, 1 upon h3 del u3 u3 cap. For example, in a spherical, if we want to write, what we will write, 1 upon 1, because h1 1 r sine theta, h1 h2 h3, these are h. So yes, sine theta. So 1 upon 1 del r cap plus 1 upon r del upon del theta cap plus 1 upon r sine theta del upon del u3 will be phi cap. We can this is nothing but nebula in a spherical coordinate. This is nebula in spherical coordinate. No need to confuse, everything is very clear. Now for divergence, the formula is 1 upon h2 h3 del upon del u1 a1 h2 h3, where our area our vector field will be a1 u1 cap, a2 u3 u2 cap, a3 u3 cap. So it will be 1 upon h2 is r and h3 is r sin theta, 1 upon r squared sin theta del upon del r a1, and h2 h3 is, what is h2 h3, r square sin theta. Sin theta can come outside of the integral differentiation, because we are differentiating with terms of r. So sin theta and sin theta get cancelled out. So it will be simply 1 upon r square del upon del r square a1. In the similar way, you can find for u2 cap, for u3 cap. This is for this is our first integral. In the similar way, second integral, what will be the second integral? 1 upon uh, here h1 h2 h3 for u1. So see the pattern. I just want that you should remember the pattern, not you have to remember everything. You should be able to remember the pattern only. So see here, if we are calculating u1, so we are using h2 h3. So if we were calculating u2, so we will use h1 h3. See the pattern, u2 h1 h3. And if it is 2, if it is 1, so we are using a1. So if it is 2, we will use a2 and times and a1. So we will not use h1 h2 h3. So if it is a2, we will use h1 h3. In the same way, third term will be 1 upon del u3 we are calculating. So it will be nothing but h1 h2 a3 h1 h2. This is a pattern which you should follow. Now curl of v is nothing but you have to remember this uh, matrices h1 u1 h2 u2 h3 u3 del upon del u1 del upon del u2 del upon del u3 a1 h1 a2 h2 a3 h3. Then you should be able to calculate curl. Just plug the value of h1 h2 h3 u1 u2 u3 for, if you want to spherical, if you want for cylindrical, just plug the values, you will get the coordinates. Laplacian, we will need only Laplacian for a spherical in electromagnetic physics, electromagnetic theory. We will see later on. You have to remember it: 1 upon r square del upon del r square del upon del r. Again, del square is nothing but 1 upon r square del of del r square del of del r. This is the Laplacian. It is only for the one component which we will need in, it is only in r cap direction. So it is the first coordinate, first component. So we will only need this much for r1, r for r only. Now let us try some questions. What is the value of divergence of I think we have done this question. The value is 3. And yeah, now we can talk about double integral and triple integral. Double integral means nothing but differentiating 2 times. Okay, one limit will be for, suppose this is dy written first, so this is the limit for y, and dx written later, so this is the limit for x. And we can reverse it. We can first integrate in terms of dx a and b, and then dy c and d. We can do it. And triple integral is nothing but differentiating 3 times, x in terms of y, x, y and z. Now we know the volume for dv element for all these coordinates, spherical, Cartesian. For Cartesian, dv will be dx, dy, dz. And for spherical, it will be h2, h1, h2, h3. So r square sine theta dr d theta d phi. Okay, these two are most important. You should know the limits of also theta and phi. So we had defined theta is the angle between this, and phi is this one. So theta will be vary from 0 to 180. Phi will be vary from 0 to 360. And theta, our r will be vary from 0 to r. This is the limit for spherical polar coordinate. If it is half a sphere, then limit will be changed. Instead of going this 180, we will go only for 90. If it is in only in one quadrant, so instead of going 360, we will only go 180. So these are the different kind of cases possible. These things are very simple. Now let us talk about Gauss theorem and Stokes theorem. These are very important. For example, we have a vector a1 I cap plus a2 j cap plus a3 k cap. So suppose this is a surface field. So a dot ds will be divergence of a times dv. We are relating surface integral and volume integral. Surface integral, okay, surface integral is nothing but double integral. Okay, and ds is in Cartesian, ds is nothing but dx dy. I had told you na, the area element for spherical area element, I had told you r. See, here I have told you infinitesimal area element. For a spherical, it is r squared sin theta dr d phi. So the same thing you will plug here. For a Stokes theorem, you will say curl of a times dl is equals to a dot dl. We are relating line element with surface integral. Surface integral is double integral. Curl of a dot dl will be curl of a times dl, where a is any surface capping this. Okay, it is asking what is double integral r dot ds. So using Gauss theorem, we know that it is nothing but triple integral of that del dot r dv. And what is del dot r? It is 3, and dv integral is v. So option is 3v. So this is all about vector algebra, vector calculus, and hope it will find useful for you. This is all for today. Bye.